Hey everyone, Commander 2016 spoilers are barreling along, and today's the last day of individual previews before we see all the decks tomorrow. Don't worry, we'll be back covering all that goodness as well as the best reprints to come out of the set, so pay attention to the channel this weekend. Today, however, we have more previews to cover, including our last 4-color Commander, a few more partners, a curse, and a lot more. So strap in and prepare for some Commander craziness. If you've enjoyed our preview videos this week, be sure to hit the like button. It helps out a lot. Boom Pile, great name, is 4 mana for an artifact. You can tap it and flip a coin. If you win the flip, destroy all non-land permanents. Okay, now, I know a lot of you don't like having to flip a coin, but this is Commander. Come on, deal with it. Boom Pile is the latest iteration of Nevinyrral's Disc, and honestly, it's an updated version. This one actually hits Planeswalkers, unlike the classic disc itself. Comparing it to the disc, there is a chance the Boom Pile doesn't work, but you can use the ability the turn it comes down. It doesn't cost additional mana, and if it doesn't work, you have next turn too. The disc comes in tapped straight up, so you get 2 shots with the Boom Pile to be a better disc. Again, I know a lot of you don't like RNG, but I honestly don't care too much. The card is funny and effective. Get some Krark's Thumb action in there, and you'll be fine. Orzhov Advocist is 3 mana for a 1/4 human advisor. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player may put 2+1/+1 counters on a creature they control. If a player does, creatures that player controls can't attack you or a planeswalker you control until your next turn. Pillow Fort cards are the best. Everything about this card's amazing. Think about it. It's at the beginning of your upkeep, which means that before you do anything for your turn, you get to find out who wants to attack you and who doesn't. If someone says no and they have eligible attackers on the field, you know something's up and you can plan for that. You can prepare since, again, it's at the beginning of your upkeep. You've done nothing this turn. Genius wording for this. The second a player says no, there's something else going on there. Why not get 2 free counters in exchange for not attacking me? This is incredibly political, but exactly what a Pillow Fort strategy wants to be doing. Phenomenal card design. I'm actually really excited about playing with this now. Just, holy crap, this is great. Fairy Artisans is 4 mana for a 2/2 Fairy Artificer with flying. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. Then exile all other tokens created with the Artisans. Oh wow, now, I know that you'll only ever end up with 1 token because the Artisans exiles all the others, but can you imagine the possibilities here? Enter the battlefield effects are some of the most coveted in Commander. The Artisan straight up steals them from everyone. How is that not awesome? Think of all the relevant enter the battlefield effects in Magic. There are tons, and you get a creature token out of it too. You can also get crazy with your shenanigans and blink the Artisans at the right time. It'll lose track of the token, then when it comes back it no longer recognizes said token, so when you create something new that doesn't leave. A little complicated, but certainly a thing. It's an interesting card, I like it a lot. Ikra Shidiqi the Usurper is 3 of anything, 1 black and 1 green for a 3/7 legendary creature Naga Wizard with Menace and Partner. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. I'll just say this now so we can move on. Doran is going to love this card to death. I mean, seriously, how do you even lose the game traditionally when you have this in a Doran deck? It's unreal. Now beyond that, I hear a lot of whispers about pairing this with an Orzhov commander, getting some sweet green-white cards and creating a strong Obzan life gain deck. This plus Ravos could create something real difficult to kill. I think the idea is worth exploring. Ikra clearly has a plan, and something like Doran or combining her with a white aligned partner are probably your best bets for success. I think she's one of the better partners. Grip of Phyresis is 3 mana for an instant. Gain control of target equipment, then create a 0/0 black germ creature token and attach that equipment to it. Hold on to your butts, this is hilariously amazing. You get to grab any equipment you want forever, since this isn't an enchantment and you don't even have to worry about equipping it, and it's instant speed. Everyone runs equipment. The vast majority of all Commander decks run at least a few pieces of equipment. Grip of Phyresis is absolutely main deckable in the format. Definitely, what a baller card. Also, it's wielding Sword of Body and Mind, and that's just funny. 10 out of 10, might be one of my favorite cards from the entire set. I love it, staple forever. Manifold Insights is 3 mana for a sorcery. Reveal the top 10 cards of your library. Starting with the next opponent in turn order, each opponent chooses a different non-land card from among them. Put the chosen cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. In a normal game of 4-player Commander, this is 3 mana to go 10 cards deep and get your 3 worst non-land permanents. It isn't terrible, but I'm starting to get a bad taste in my mouth with these cards that scale based on how many opponents you have. Since you don't always know if you'll be in a 3-person game, 6-person game, 4-person game, you never really know the actual value of a card like this. It makes its inclusion in any deck sort of suspect. Think about it. This is terrible in a 3-person game. It's okay in a 4-person game. It's amazing in a 6-person game. I've been thinking a lot about these scaling cards, and I'm just not sure I'm okay with how impactful the number of players are on the card's effectiveness. That's just me, though. Still thinking about it. Oh yes, here we go. Yidris Maelstrom Wielder is 1 blue, 1 black, 1 red, and 1 green for a 5/4 legendary creature Ogre Wizard with Trample. Ogre Wizard? Already game for this. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player as you cast spells from your hand this turn, they gain Cascade. Before anything else, we need to explain Cascade. When you cast a spell with Cascade, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card that costs less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. Put the exiled cards in the bottom of your library in a random order. So, you get what's happening here, right? Yidris is like a Cascade Divining Rod, like a Cascade Guru. The dude straight up gives everything Cascade. You deal combat damage to a player with your 5-power Trampler, get Cascade, then cast any other spell, and you get free spells. It's total chaos. I knew Yidris was going to incorporate Cascade somehow, but I did not expect him to give everything Cascade. What a bonkers ability. Best part? Absolute best part? You can give Yidris Double Strike, and then everything gets Cascade. 2 different instances of combat damage, 2 different Cascades. Someone hold me. Yidris is crazy. Oh my goodness. Curse of Vengeance is 1 black mana for an enchantment or a curse. Enchant player. Whenever enchanted player casts a spell, put a spite counter on the curse. When enchant player loses the game, you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of spite counters on the curse. I want to like this card, and on the surface it's really funny. Think about it. You start the game, cast this on a random player, and they basically hate you for the rest of the game. While that's awesome, and I will totally do that, that is also the problem. You put a huge target on yourself from the get-go. The goal is to now kill you before that player dies. Even if it's just on principle, other players don't want you getting extra stuff. It's why people hate Rhystic Study. It's why they'll hate this card too. When you cast this, make sure you understand you're about to make enemies of everyone. Unless you're in a duel, like a 1-versus-1 match, then totally cast this just to be a butt. I would. I totally would. This is actually probably why I have no friends. Learning a lot about myself today. Magus of the Will is 3 mana for a 3/3 human wizard. You can pay 3 mana, tap it, and exile it, and until end of turn, you may play cards from your graveyard. If a card would be put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, exile that card instead. Say hello to the latest member of an exclusive club, a club of mages that are based on the most powerful cards in all of Magic. This one's designed around Yawgmoth's Will, a card banned in Legacy, restricted in Vintage, certainly one of the most powerful cards to have ever been printed. This is a great card. Exiling and paying 3 to play everything from your graveyard for a turn, you can do a lot with that. Think about all the graveyard-based decks out there, or decks like Shidiqi that throw things into the yard all willy-nilly. Magus of the Will is another staple for the format now. Enjoy it. Divergent Transformations is 7 mana for an instant with Undaunted. Exile 2 target creatures. For each of those creatures, its controller reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card, then puts that card onto the battlefield, then shuffles the rest of their library. So we took Polymorph, made it red, and doubled up on it? Yes, please. This is definitely more like Polymorph than Chaos Warp, but similarities can be drawn to both. Divergent Transformation, based on the number of opponents, can be insanely powerful. In a 4-person game, this effect for 4 total mana is absurd. At 5 mana, still absurd. At 6, it's okay. That's how you know a card is good. Red getting removal that isn't damage based is incredibly beneficial to the color, so if you're a red player, you should be pretty happy about this. There's a reason people love Polymorph, and you exile the creatures, so it's even better. This card is great. Seeds of Renewal is 7 mana for a sorcery with Undaunted. Return up to 2 target cards from your graveyard to your hand. Exile the seeds. Again, I gotta come back to the issue of how many players are in the game when you cast this. We have Restock and Wildest Dreams as cards that do very similar things and are both great to compare this to. In a 4-person game, this is 4 total mana and pretty easy on your colors. If one of those players dies before you can use this, it's 5 mana, putting it on par with Wildest Dreams and slightly better than Restock. So the card has some flexibility, which is nice. Recursion's always valuable, and even if one of your opponents dies early, this still either beats out the alternatives or at worst is equal to them, so I'll take it. It's a good card. Thracios Triton Hero is 1 green and 1 blue for a 1/3 legendary creature merfolk wizard with partner. You can pay 4 mana to scry 1, then reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, otherwise draw a card. Coiling Oracle on a stick seems pretty good. It's obviously not the exact same effect, but you get where I'm coming from. This is very simic and makes total sense for one of the last partner cards. The funniest part about Thracios, I think he pairs best with the Chosen of Kruphix. Sure, you don't get any other colors, but we're talking infinite mana possibilities all day, and Thracios clearly needs that to be awesome. He's going to need a lot of mana, and well, this blind wizard has mana in spades. I think Thracios is somewhere in the middle of the partner commanders power-wise, but its synergy with the other Simic commander is nice. What do you think? This is an interesting one. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Treacherous Terrain is 6 of anything, 1 red and 1 green for a sorcery with basic land cycling. It deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of lands they control. As pointed out already, let me leave this here just so you can see what real pain feels like. Terrain, Armageddon, Splendid Reclamation, the culmination of all emotions thrown right at your face. This is beautiful. It's a work of land-hating art. Splendid indeed. Our good friend the professor from Tolarian Community College had a pretty hilarious preview video yesterday, so if you want to see what Goblin Spymaster does and laugh in the process, you can check that out right here. Great video, great guy, great channel, enjoy it. This was our last day of individual previews, but don't worry, we'll be back over the weekend to cover the rest of the set. Now that we've seen all the partners and commanders, how are you feeling about them? I've heard opinions from both extremes and everywhere in between. Are there specific partner commanders you want to build around? What about the 4-color legendaries? Do you think that they lived up to what you expected? I gotta know what you're thinking, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments. The set's looking interesting so far, and I can't wait to see what's next. As always, thank you all for watching, and we'll definitely see you next time. Or in my dreams, really whichever comes first. This video is brought to you in part by TCGplayer.com. If Commander 2016 has you impressed, then guess what? It's great. You can buy the entire set, pre-ordered, right now on TCG Player for $133. That's a little over $25 per deck. That's great pricing considering they're about to be $40 in Target and Walmart. Don't say I didn't warn you. If this set is something you want to get your hands on, this is a great cheap way to do it. That's all there really is to say about that. I hope you enjoy it.